Let's watch some Greg and Tim show clips.
Hey, Tim, it's time for the topic of the day.
Topic of the day.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Roll the music.
Okay, hooray. It's time for the topic of the day.
So this was brought to both of our attention about a week ago.
Yeah.
And there was a report brought on by the Canadian Human, what was the organization called?
The Canadian Human Rights Commission.
So they came out with a report that said Christmas is systemically, did I say it right?
Systemically, yeah.
Systemically racist because it excludes people that do not believe in a Judeo-Christian foundation.
Yeah.
And the leader of the Bloc Québécois, interestingly enough, he actually brought this up in the House of Commons to condemn that report.
The reports and the paper, yeah.
Because he was upset that they were calling, or this organization was calling Christmas basically racist.
So just
and they all agree. They basically all agree. Trudeau agreed.
Everybody passed the motion.
Yeah, so it was passed, and everyone's happy. Whether it's political or not, I don't know. It probably is a bit of it. But this is the question: is Christmas
systemically
racist,
discriminatory,
and
racist?
Before we talk about our opinions on this, the leader who published the report for this organization said, "No, we weren't calling Christmas racist. We're trying to raise awareness that the holidays, Christmas and Easter, are Christian, quote unquote, holidays. And what do people who believe in Islam, what do people who believe in other religions, they don't get a holiday, so they can go pray or do what their custom says."
Yeah.
So that is the question. And again, the House of Commons denounced it, but what are your thoughts on that?
So just before we start here, just for all of the person that's listening right now, in the description, I've got the link to both the papers. The paper that is about the original, and then the saying, of course, Christmas is not racist. We never said it was. I got the links to both of those down there, so you can judge them as you want, because I think people need the information and not just our opinions on this. So I'm going to read what it said here. The Canadian Human Rights Commission, an agency with broad judicial powers that is fully funded by the federal government, has declared the celebration of Christmas is evidence of Canada's colonialist religious intolerance. Discrimination against religious minorities in Canada is grounded in Canada's history of colonialism, reads a discussion paper on religious intolerance published last month by the agency, which again is linked below. An obvious example is statutory holidays in Canada. It adds, noting that Christian holidays of Christmas and Easter get days off, while non-Christians have to request special accommodation to observe their holy days. Canada is replete, I don't know how to pronounce that word, with religious intolerance, and always has been. In order to move forward towards sustainable change, all Canadians must first acknowledge Canada's history of religious intolerance, and it goes on from there. So, when they argue that, of course, Christmas is not racist, we never said it was, that is just backtracking on a paper that I just read the bullet points of.
Nobody wants to be seen as being racist in 2023. So there's a reason why they would want to backtrack, whether you believe it's true or not that they were or not.
I think that they're backtracking on a paper that was written that they don't want to be associated with it. They don't want to be associated with calling people racist or saying that Christmas is racist.
Well, in fairness, they didn't say people were racist. They said that the country as a whole, giving certain people of certain religious customs holidays and not other ones, is a religious practice. Yeah. So I think that it's not fair to say they're calling any individual or group racist.
Yeah.
Right.
So essentially, I did some research on this to find out what kind of countries actually celebrate Christmas. And it's crazy the amount of countries in the world that aren't fully based in Christianity beliefs that celebrate Christmas. India, for instance, celebrates Christmas. There's a lot of places that celebrate Christmas. The main places that don't, and let's see if you recognize any of these places. Afghanistan doesn't celebrate Christmas. It's not a formal public holiday there. China, North Korea, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Taiwan, Laos, Israel. Israel doesn't celebrate Christmas as a statutory holiday.
No, that would make sense.
Iran, Cambodia. Like, these places are the places that don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah. As we get further and further on, like I would say, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, most of the people who were entering Canada were of countries who would be celebrating Christmas.
Yeah.
That would be European countries coming to Canada. As we have in the last 10, 15, 20, 25 years,
Yeah.
that demographic has changed.
100%.
So a lot of the countries that we're talking about are starting to live here, and we have a different diversity groups that we associate with, right? So is it a fair question? If I were to guess, and if we had somebody, and I try my best to think of the situation from someone else's point of view. So if I'm part of this organization writing this paper, it's like, I would like to create awareness.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know what solutions you would talk about. Are you saying get rid of the holidays? Are you saying everybody gets a holiday? We're Oprah, you get a holiday, you get a holiday, you get a holiday.
Oprah.
So there has to be some realism in it, but I would think that they would argue maybe people should just be more aware that other people don't have your political / religious beliefs.
Yeah.
That would be my take on it if I was trying to be a PR person for those groups. Like you said, nobody wants to be considered as making a racist statement.
Yeah. No,
It's-
for sure.
If you are, that's, you're going to be canceled. or-
Nobody wants to think that they're forcing something down somebody's
Yeah.
throats.
And again, if you,
Right?
yeah,
And Christianity is not looked at as favorably these days as it used to be.
well, the percentage of people who profess to be quote unquote Christians or Judeo-Christian beliefs has dwindled every decade.
Yeah.
Whereas the people that have those beliefs are now in the minority.
Yeah.
Right. And now
In some areas.
a lot of people celebrate Christmas and they don't celebrate in any way
Christian.
the Christian
the
part of
holiday.
it. They'd call it Christmas. It's Santa. For Easter, it's the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
And they don't celebrate the other aspects of it, and they enjoy those holidays.
They don't celebrate the reason for the season.
Right.
Essentially is what you're saying.
They wouldn't recognize that, or
Right.
they would think that they don't go hand in hand.
So a Ledger poll last year asked Canadians who grew up in non-Christian homes whether they were offended by the greeting Merry Christmas. Out of those respondents, how many do you think said no, percentage-wise?
The question, how many people are offended?
Yeah, by the people that grew up in non-Christian homes.
Yeah.
How many of those do you think were offended?
10% offended. 5%.
92% said they were not offended.
Okay,
so
so
8% said that they were.
I said 10 and then 5, so perfect.
That's pretty good. Like 92% of people are not offended by the words Merry Christmas.
I think people don't really think about it either.
If you told me, if I'm buying something from you at a store and you said Happy Hanukkah, I would say Happy Hanukkah back.
Right.
If you say Merry Christmas, I say Merry Christmas back. If you say Happy Holidays, I say Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
I'm not going to offend you, and you're not going to offend me. If it was Diwali and you said Happy Diwali, I would say Happy Diwali. Like, good for you. You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to be offended?
The argument,
Why do we have to be offended?
Yeah.
When somebody says something,
Yeah.
why does it have to trigger somebody instantly?
well, we live in an outraged society and culture where we're always
But
set
why?
in arms.
What does that get you? If I said Happy Hanukkah to you, and you're not Jewish, what does that get you by getting angry at it?
The argument is that Christmas and those religious holidays dominate everything. There's just an overabundance, and they just take over everything, and all the other cultures that we talk about get nothing.
We live in a predominantly Christian country that was founded on Christian beliefs.
And some would say, and I'm just arguing
Yeah.
the opposite.
No, for sure.
Some would say those days are gone.
It's not gone though. If you look at like our anthem, if
Right.
you look at a lot of things that we have, it's not gone. It's just being suppressed.
Right.
I remember growing up in school singing God Save the Queen
Oh yeah.
and having the Lord's Prayer
Yep.
every morning.
Yep.
In a public school.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
and not having any problem with it.
Well, and you would be again. You
But
would be in the group that would support that because you are from that.
But nobody that I remember had any problem with it.
Right.
There was no outrage over it.
And that's not to go into even more. Sometimes it's not even the outrage of a group. Sometimes it's the media drumming out.
It's the outrage of an
that.
individual that gets magnified into the media.
Yeah, to create a story, which we need to do.
The same poll also asked Canadians of all religions whether Christmas and other religious holidays should be struck from the country's official stat holidays. Only 6% said yes.
Right.
So 94% of the people agree that Christmas and other religious holidays should continue to be stat holidays.
So this goes on to another topic. Is sometimes I find there's no need. Like, what is the motivation for a group like the Canadian Human Rights, whatever, to put out this paper
at Christmas
when, as you said, 6% of the population has any issues with it?
Yeah.
Why? And we see this in culture all the time, where a minute population amount gets a greater say than the percentage dictates.
Yeah.
And the outrage, it hits the media.
Yeah.
Why? And specific to this, why? What's the motivation? And something that they had to backtrack on because
I think it backfired.
It backfired, but why do it in the first place?
Because they thought it wouldn't backfire.
Yeah, but even if it doesn't backfire, what's the motivation? What are they gaining?
They're gaining the, I guess, overall impression that they're looking out for the Canadian human rights of everybody and not just.
Right. They're doing their job. So people don't think that their organization isn't working for the benefit of everybody.
The Canadian Museum for Human Rights is here in Winnipeg.
Right.
It is the one museum that's a national museum outside of Ottawa.
Yeah.
Here in Winnipeg. That Canadian Human Rights Museum didn't let certain people into it during the years 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Canadian Human Rights Museum.
Yeah.
Also,
the argument for that was the betterment of the group as a whole overshadowed the benefit of the individual. That was always the argument.
Okay.
I
like your argument. I like it.
Listen, the argument was never where we are not trouncing on people's personal human rights. We just believe the human rights of the overall group supersedes it.
So at that time, that was 70% of people, correct? Roughly 70%, I believe.
But
was the number?
Was which number?
That was allowed to go in. 70% of the population,
70 to 80, somewhere around there,
was allowed to go into there.
Yeah.
94% of the population, is not offended by the words "Merry Christmas."
Right. So
we wrote they wrote a paper.
It's a smaller. Maybe they didn't do the research
based on 6%.
Right.
But they wouldn't let 30% of the people into their museum during a certain time.
Right.
Those people did not have the same human rights.
Right. Again, the argument is what I just said. It was.
Yeah, I know. I know you're saying that.
Yeah. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying that that's the argument.
Is that if you're going to write a paper on something, then you should have some backup saying that, you know.
By the way, I don't agree with the argument I just gave. But I'm just saying that's the argument.
That's the argument that they have.
Yeah. It does make. I mean, that's always been the case as far as human rights, right?
Yeah.
The individual human rights don't always supersede the groups over.
It's a super heavy topic.
Yeah.
And
apparently something that most people don't really care about.
And apparently that, like, the topic's heavy in terms of there will be always noise
right
about it.
Yeah.
There will always be noise about, like, at the mall, you should be saying Happy Holidays, not Merry Christmas.
The Christmas kids show from school should say Winterfest and not Christmas something.
Or holiday surprise special.
We live in the political correctness day and age.
Hey, thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show clips. If you'd like, you can click this guy right in the middle here. That's the button that you can subscribe with. Click, click. Or if you want to watch another video of ours, just press the button in front of me. Press the one in front of me. There's also one in front of Tim, right there. Press it.
Yeah.
Press the button there, and subscribe here. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next episode.